Nope. No.
Nope, we don't. But now we're
I,
live.
oh, there's a button. So not yet.
I'm curious. I've never asked this, and I'm supposed to know the answers to this. But before we officially start, even though people can actually see this part, do you get any kind of like going live indicator on your end? I'm always the host, so I can see it on the.
There's an orange live button up in the top right corner.
Okay. All right. So that's your only indicator as a participant on the Hangout.
Right. So if it's no longer orange or it's gone, then we know we're off air.
Very cool. That's good to know. As you can see, I seem to never be a participant. I'm always the one initiating these, so that's good to know.
Oh, it's always good.
Okay.
Yeah, it's always good because that's why I do some screen shares when I do the Twitter stuff. It's just instead of trying to be able to point to them, then I can just show them. Say, okay,
That's a good point.
but then you have to do that mirror image, so you'd be pointing to your left. So if you go up
That's right.
here,
Yeah, exactly. Okay, now that we've had some banter, welcome everybody to another Social Web Cafe interview. And today we have Twitter expert. There's got to be a better name than Twitter expert, but Twitter expert, Gary Loper. And Gary, I'm going to let you introduce yourself and come up with a better word than just expert.
well, we sometimes been called the master of the Twitterverse.
Oh, that's right. That's what it was.
Yeah,
Why
the
does that
master
remind me of
Twitterverse.
some cartoon?
Yeah. Yeah. So that's actually the name of the ebook that we put together for it, and it's I don't know, it's kind of almost like a guru never calls himself a guru. It allows the student and the
Mm,
people to be able to call them gurus. So it's
that
just
makes sense.
so whatever people want to be able to do it, but whatever they want to call me, I will answer to it.
Well, there you go. As long as it's not like degrading or something, demeaning or.
Yeah, we've heard a lot of those things already, but.
So, how did you become the master of the Twitterverse?
Well, I started on Twitter in 2008. I was introduced by Dave LeConte. Saw him speaking at Bob Berg's his Extreme Business Makeover weekend, and Dave said, "Hey, you got to check out Twitter. It's new and it's you need to get on it." So I got on, and we're just weren't doing anything with it because Twitter was about a year and a half old, and nobody was knowing what they were doing. So we're just bouncing around, and so that was summer of 2008. By November of 2008, I had lost a job that I had. I was doing massage for special needs clients, and so that was a lot of very fulfilling work for me. Not only financially, but more important for me, it was emotional connection. And so that went away. The funding was eliminated for the program. So I wound up on the couch, just kind of in a depressed funk. And so one of the ways that I got out was I remembered that I had collected all of these quotes, these motivational quotes, since I started studying motivation back in 1989.
That's like, between 1989 and, when you say 2008, that's like a lot of
Yeah,
years to
yeah.
collect.
So I've been studying, and every day I've been studying that motivation. And so I started sharing those quotes to try to lift myself up. And what I found, I started seeing people responding, and they started retweeting and asking questions. And then I got the tap and said, okay, because I had got my certification as a life coach in 1999, but hadn't done anything with it. So the tap was, you're going to now be coaching through Twitter. So then I just started looking at establishing my coaching practice on Twitter, and the more I got involved into Twitter, I just go through. I had a better understanding. I always had a premise of building better relationships is our tagline, and it was a great way to be able to build connections and build rapport with people. And I just over time collected a lot of information, sat in on a lot of classes, realized that what was being taught was very, very weak, and I finally realized how much I knew in comparison to what a lot of other people were sharing. So I decided, well, I'm going to start owning this and put out the ebook and start declaring that I'm a Twitter expert, master of the Twitterverse, whatever it is, just to be able to help people get the most out of Twitter so they can expand their business, create a community, generate more traffic, and really impact the world in ways that you can't do in a lot of other sites.
Wow. Wow, you brought out, two things that popped, a lot of things popped in my head because that was so enriching. But earlier you mentioned the word guru, and I was thinking it's like the way that you describe your story, that would be, again, I realize, like you said, a guru doesn't call himself a guru, but in the true sense, and I'm not an expert on guru or philosophy or religions or, I love to talk philosophy, but I'm not going to say that I'm an expert. But it sounds like that path, the way that people were kind of following you as far as the motivational and the quotes, that really was a similar path.
It was, and over time, people have come to expect those quotes, and they see that. I'm probably on over 3,000 lists, and so there's a lot of people who are checking in every day. And again, I used a quote by Zig Ziglar quite a lot, and Zig says, well, they say that motivation doesn't last, but either it is bathing. That's why we need both every day. So we just
Mm.
look at giving that motivational bath and just give them an opportunity, because you just never know where the impact is going to be. And to share a story of the impact of these motivational quotes, because I was reminded, somebody said, well, everybody's just sharing these motivation quotes. They wish they wouldn't do that, and it just clogs up. So some people were just sort of anti-motivation.
Wow, I can't
Yeah.
imagine that, but okay.
But where it is for me, because this was the validation about sharing those messages, was a year ago. It was February of 2014. I got a tweet from a girl who said, I can't tell you how much your tweets have meant for me. So I asked her to be able to email me what it was and how it impacted her life.
Like
And
her
I was,
story.
yeah, so I was crying at the second line. She's a young woman with a debilitating disease, and she was ready to commit suicide.
Oh dear.
And one of my Just for Today affirmations showed up in her stream and struck a chord in her, that she shifted her decision to be able to say, okay, she's going to work with the disease that she has and start working with people who also have it, try to make their life better. And I realized that there's a lot of people that are going to see our messages. And that's why I say, we have to spend a lot of time building that trust and rapport and giving people a little bit of a window inside of our values. And that in doing that, we're going to be able to impact their lives in ways that we never would have imagined. It doesn't all have to be that they're going to buy from us, but to be able to get a good word, to be able to get a smile, to be able to get a message that shifts your perspective or maybe even shifts your life, to be able to do that on a tweet. I've never heard about any but that happening on Facebook. Now Facebook has limited the exposure.
Mm-hmm.
But that's one of the big reasons that I really see that where you can use Twitter is we can be able to reach the world, and the world can find our stuff. And we just never know who's going to see it or how it's going to impact them, and we may never even know that we've made an impact. But I have the faith that we do.
I was
And I
going to say
know
that must come down to like a trust and a faith, whatever someone may
that,
believe in their religion or whatever, that their faith that somehow that message can get the right person.
and I really believe that is an essential way to be able to do business. Because again, it differentiates us from everybody else that's on Twitter or any place else. If everybody else is just sharing, okay, come to my webinar, here's my thing, get my podcast, do this, do that. Okay, what it's about. You're not showing up for anybody else. You're not helping them solve their problems. Or you're always looking for them to be able to dig into their wallet, and so, just provide some words of encouragement and be able to be that positive light. And I think what's happened for me is that's created new opportunities. People are watching me do business that way and conducting myself that way, so they're seeking me out and say, hey, we like the way that you're presenting yourself. We want to be able to work with you.
So it sounds like the business end of it, because we all somehow need to feed ourselves and pay bills. So there's obviously a money aspect of it just to exist.
Hmm.
Sounds like that kind of integrates, like they work hand in hand. I mean, this is a person of Gary, and may I mention your wife Carol, correct?
Right. Yes.
As a team, and you're giving this positive energy out to the world, but then also this, it's like they seek you out, so it kind of goes hand in hand.
Yeah, it does. But you have to be able to plant the seeds and know that it's, I may put it out there, but I can't expect that where I put it out is going to come back from.
Hmm.
So if I'm talking to Bernadette and trying to encourage her, lift her up in what she's going through, I may never get the payback or any kind of reciprocation from her, but I know that the universe in some way is going to bring it back to me if something unexpected places, people, times, everything else. And that's why we just keep planting a lot of seeds, knowing that it's going to come back.
Yeah, originally I was looking at this as being like, what are Gary Loper's Twitter tips? But I'm so fascinated by this whole thing because and I don't want you to think I'm going out and
Oh
copy
no.
you, although somehow I think that if I did go out and copy you, as far as sending out affirmations, that you wouldn't mind because that's just more affirmations going out in the world. But
Yeah,
I
there,
used to
there,
send out
with,
this.
with
Hmm?
with all the people, I saw a projection that there's going to be over 300 million active users on Twitter by the end of 2015.
Wow, what's the stats right now? What are the
I think
stats?
it's like 225 or something like that.
Okay.
225 active people, active members who are checking in regularly. That doesn't even include the people who aren't checking in, but once a week or once a month or something,
Hmm.
and going on. But those are active daily people. I
Wow.
can't reach them all,
Right. Well, that's a good
and
point. That's a
and
good
so the
point.
more people we have doing it, and then we connect, and then there's a synergy in what we're doing, and then in some way we create this conscious or unconscious collaboration that serves even a greater good.
That makes sense. I used to, well, I don't want to admit how many Twitter accounts I have, but I had one that was mostly just, it was like, I tried to do three positive quotes a day, and that was pretty much all I tweeted on that one. I know three isn't very many, but considering that
No.
was one of a lot of Twitter accounts I had. But then, and there were some people that were like faithfully retweeting that stuff, and I felt bad because I kind of let them down because I stopped. You get stuck with, oh wow, I have this bill to pay and this sort of thing, and then you get distracted by the whole. Maybe not you, Gary, but but a
Well,
person.
there's that's one of the things that I work with clients too to be able to help them automate their accounts, or I manage their accounts, because to be able to do something like that, to keep those messages going every day, you need to automate them and leverage the technology so that the messages go out there, and it allows you more time for engagement and to follow up with the conversation that those messages create.
So are you getting like two kinds of when you're talking on the client end, the people are coming saying, "Wow, Gary, I just love this positive energy. What is it that you teach? Because I just want to learn whatever it is you have to teach." And then another group that says, "I see that you're so effective on Twitter. I want to," like, almost like the kind of the right brain, left brain.
Well, yeah, both. It's right now our main focus is helping clients understand Twitter, and there's a couple of ways that we work with people. It's either I have a Twitterverse flight school, so
That sounds cool. Like you're
it's
gonna.
it's to help you get your wings and be able to soar across the Twitterverse. And
Is
so it's
that basic? Is that like a newbie?
it goes from newbie to almost advanced intermediate.
Okay.
So we'll go through to 12 hours of recorded webinars. So
Wow.
you can get it, and you can be able to learn at your own pace. You don't have to schedule 10 weeks in a row to be able to show up on a Tuesday night and be able to get it. You got access to the recordings, and it will walk you through all of these steps on how to be able to set up your account, the importance of the profile, all the little things about what to tweet, when to tweet, how to be able to utilize lists, how to market things, how to be able to create multiple headlines for each of your blog posts. There's just an example is people will usually take their blog post and they'll just give you the one title.
Hmm. Where they could actually repurpose that.
You repurpose it, but the thing of it is there's probably 6 or 7 brilliant points within everybody's blog post, and each of those points are answering a question that your prospect is going to need answering. So if you know, get yourself in their mind and start, writing up your tweets to invite them to your blog by what's in it for them.
Ah,
Okay,
I like to answer the question, figure out what their
yeah,
question is, and then tweet
right.
the answer.
An important thing to remember is people will have two thoughts in their mind when they come across your subject line on an email or your tweet or anything, is either tell me more or so what.
Hmm.
And that so what response, how many times you do that, how many emails you look at it, so what, so what, next, 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 next.
Probably most
But
of them, but
yeah, so that's what you're going against. So you want to be able to do that. An example that I use a lot is Cosmo and the Star and the Inquirer. When you're going through the grocery checkout, those magazines are there, and what grabs your attention? Those short, sexy titles that just, their power, that grab you,
or the picture. But no,
Yeah, yeah.
if it's Cosmo, it's probably the picture.
Oh, but it's like, okay, well, how many pretty girls can you look at? So we start looking at the words. But
Okay.
but get the diet, to the recipe, lose the guy, get the guy, all of those other things. Those are kind of pain points for people in some way, and they want to know more, so they'll pick up the magazine and start reading. So that's the huge example is, copy what's working in other industries.
That makes
And
a lot of sense. I've started doing that more or I should say, I've caught myself doing that. Like when I look at emails and I will open something that is obviously unsolicited, it is obviously spam, and I
Mhm.
ask myself, why am I what is it that drew me to this
So
email? Because maybe it's spam and I shouldn't help them
right.
out because it's spam, but there's something that drew me.
But again, now what you can do is what I teach people in class to do, and I've learned was you put it in a swipe file.
Hmm.
So you go take those headlines, you go take those paragraphs, and you go put it into a document, and then you can be able to alter that to be able to fit your thing, your need. So if it got your attention, got you to be able to open it up, 10 ways to lose the guy, right? So it's 7 ways to master success, 7 ways to lose the weight, or it's a formula, and you just go there and you just recopy the formula and just fill in the blanks with the subject you want to try to be able to help them solve their problem.
Because basically, we as humans, we're not that complicated. I mean, I'm sure that as humans, we're the same as we were thousands of years ago as far as basic makeup and needs and wants and emotions and.
Yeah, we're all going through the same level of problems.
Mhm.
We're probably all going through, we've all had loss, we've all felt emotional abandonment, we've all felt physical loss when people going through their financial things, heartbreak. We're all going through the same problems. Some of the steps on how we got there may be different, and how we react to it is different. But the problems are kind of basic.
Mhm.
And it's
I
like,
think that's the key, that they're basic.
and so if we look at that, and I think one of the biggest things in the philosophy, I believe our basic need is validation.
Mhm.
Even though we're going through the same thing, and we could talk about divorce stories or estrangements from kids and all of these other things that's going on there. But even though I've gone through that, if you're going through the same thing, I can't jump the gun and be able to tell you, oh, but this and but that, and or you should have had this experience. If we could just be quiet and be able to listen to what the other person is going through and be able to be there for them and reflect back to them, that's the amazing part of building relationships. And I think that we can do that on Twitter as well. As we can have that engagement, we can have that conversation where we're listening to them, and people are so surprised that when I write them back, they'll make a comment, and I'll write them back, and they say, oh, I'm so grateful that you wrote me back. I'm going, I'm not up on the mountain. It's like I'm not that far away, but it's, we've just gone through that. But people are really need to be heard, and they're looking for that. And I think that's another issue on mental health and a lot of other things that go on in life that complicate other things, is people aren't being heard. So if we can be able to find a way to hear them and let them know that they exist and they matter,
Wow.
we
Wow.
can have a
Yeah,
better life.
I feel like you're reading my mind, or somehow it's like, how do you know, like, how are you saying all this stuff that really fits? I'm actually writing a book on validation, and that was, I don't, you're one of the first people that has stressed the importance of that, because you hear people talk about how they need love, they need, which, it all fits together, but something that I see even missing in corporate America as far as a validation. Sometimes all it takes is one sentence, and you can validate someone, and they can be on cloud nine and just really feel fulfilled during the day and their production level.
Well, I know some of the books that I've used is Harville Hendrix, Getting the Love That You Want. So that book's about relationships, about love relationships, but it gets us to the point teaching about reflective listening, about being non-reactive, and being available for a person. Gary Chapman's Love Languages.
I
There are
haven't
five.
read that, but I quote it all the time.
There's five basic needs that people have, and when you understand what their primary need is, then they're able to love. I got a quick story. My first coach, one day, his wife called him up, said, "Meet me downtown at 2 o'clock." And he goes, "Well, why?" And she said, "Well, just meet me downtown." So he meets her downtown. They get in front of the building. He says, "Well, what's going on? What are we doing?" And she just swings her head and just says, "Follow me." They go into the building. They get in the elevator. Get out of the elevator. They're at a marriage counselor. And he goes, and he still looks at her. "Why are we here?" And she's still not saying anything until they get into the therapist's office, and then he asks, "Okay, what's going on?" "Well, he doesn't love me." And he goes, "What do you mean I don't love you? I hug you all the time." "But you never say the words." His family was brought up in hugging was that expression of love. Hers was she needed to hear the words. So he thought he was having a great relationship, and she never had her needs met. And just if we had an understanding of what our basic needs are, what our coworkers' needs are, what our partners' needs are, what our kids' basic needs are, and be able to talk to them in that language, in the language they appreciate, I think they're going to be validated, and it's like a fruit tree. You
Hmm.
love me, you keep picking my fruit, I'm going to keep giving you more fruit.
That makes a lot of sense. I never thought of that application in a work environment as far as just basic relationship. I thought about the five love languages as far as, a loving relationship and with your kids, but you're right. If you can understand what really helps them to grow even in a working environment.
Another great book for that helps a little bit more in the work environment is Get Motivated by Tamara Lowe, and she has a whole section in the book called Motivational DNA. So
Mm.
there's drives, needs, and awards, and
Wow, you're giving me ideas.
and understanding, that there's two different responses on each one of those. And so just looking at awards, if you're looking at a working environment, and you come to me and you dangle a check in front of me and say, "Well, if you do this, you're going to get this big check." I'm not an external reward kind. I'm internal. I need to hear the words. I need to be validated. I need that pat on the back, that attaboy, that kind of stuff. So that motivates me more. And so as an office manager, team leader, if they're internal or external rewards motivated, you can get them to be more productive, and your company is going to be more productive, or you can move them into positions that they're best suited for, that fits into their skill sets.
Wow. Gary, you just helped me. I'm writing, I'm finishing up my master's. I'm writing a paper on team building in the corporate environment and psychology. So, all kinds of
Oh,
ideas
oh,
here.
oh, there's more. There's also David Dibble. I got it up here. Is New Agreements in the Workplace. It's an extension of the Don Luis
Hmm.
Miguel Ruiz, the Four Agreements. The new agreements in the workplace actually talk about a lot of the things too, and how we can be able to serve each other to be able to get from a better place so we can serve the world.
Wow, that starts to sound like Peter Block. I think that's his name. Have you ever read any of his? He has a book, Flawless
No,
Consulting, and it talks about
no.
building trust, and it's a really different approach to consulting it, where it's not all about us. It's about how do we serve the world.
Mm-hmm.
So very wow. Okay, Gary, I could talk to you for hours, and out of respect to the viewer, to keep this video from being a 2-hour interview, which would be really interesting, but we should do 4 separate interviews for that. Lasting thoughts or calls to action, other than you guys need to sign up for Gary's course. So I'll let you give information on how to sign up for that. But maybe like you've given so many tips already, but like a quick Twitter tip, and then how to contact you and how to sign up for your course.
Probably the most thing that I see needs the most work on all the people that I do Twitter reviews on is they're not utilizing that first 4 to 10 seconds. When people click on your Twitter page, you have 4 to 10 seconds to be able to let them know who you are, why you're an expert, and why they should stay. So your profile is invaluable, is being able to have it listed. You got 160 characters that are search engine optimized. So if you're looking for a Twitter expert and you look at a Twitter search, I'll probably come up because Twitter expert's in my profile. So you want your profile to be filled up with those keywords that people are going to search on, that they can find you. A huge thing about a year ago, Twitter changed it, and it gave us this huge banner. So if you go to twitter.com Gary Loper, you'll see the banners up there, and I've got links for my ebook. I got links on how you can find me on Facebook and LinkedIn, and my email. I've restated my profile where it catches into your eyes view, and also a little thing about my Twitter parties. You can use it as a billboard to be able to let people know instantaneously who you are, what you do, and how you can be able to serve them. That is probably one of the most underutilized aspects and your most valuable real estate, because if you don't make that first impression, they're kind of, so what? And they're going on to the next one.
Well, I have work to do on some of those Twitter accounts. And it sounds like you just answered the rest of that question as far as there you go. That's how you can find the course, the ebook. Everything is by going to twitter.com/Gary Loper and GaryLoper.com.
GaryLoper.com. Yeah, just drop me a note and just let me know that you heard the conversation on a social cafe, and we'll get you the information about how you'll be able to sign up on the class, or GaryLoper.com, and you can look at the Twitter tab. You can find it there. But just reach out and talk to me, and then we'll find out what's the best path for you on how we can best serve you, become the master of your Twitterverse.
Excellent. You know what? I'm so inspired. I'm going to go write an article for a college recruiter based on this to give advice to those just entering into the workforce. So
Excellent.
if you hear of anyone, you'll know how they found it.
Excellent.
So,
Send,
hi,
send, send me
everybody.
send me a copy.
I will. I will. So thank you so much, Gary, for joining us in the Social
Oh,
Web Cafe and the Social Cafe.
my pleasure. Happy tweeting.
Thank you. You too. Thanks all for tuning in, and we'll see you on the next interview or Social Cafe Tuesday nights at 6 p.m. Pacific Time, 9 p.m. Eastern Time. Thanks again.